Syracuse Georgia Tech football is set for 12 o'clock next week. The network is either ESPN or ESPN2, as it was announced last week. Which network did ESPN choose?
The
Tell
Ocho.
me. Oh,
It is.
Tell me we didn't get the flagship.
It is right after game day, Tier 1, ESPN1.
So we're going full sickos.
Yes, Georgia Tech is 7-0, which helps. But besides that,
By ACC logic, two things. One, thank you, ESPN, for giving us a boost to our yearly watch ratings. Every Q's click counts, TM. Secondly, just by ACC standards, this does mean that Syracuse is going to upset Georgia Tech because the ACC refuses to have a week where the number one team in the conference can play a bad team at home and not do something stupid.
and knowing Syracuse, it's going to be Rich Beeline at quarterback that day.
Look, man, I'll take some Dan Villari Thundercat.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
So we've hit the elephant in the room.
We have hit the elephant in the room. I have an article coming about this that I'm going to start working on and hopefully should have done by tonight. Again, as we always do on this podcast, Disloyally Dance Podcast, Fans for the Sports Network, Syracuse lost 30-13 to Pitt. Now that we've got that out of the way, I thought it was very interesting what Fran said after the game in terms of, quarterbacks. Obviously, that's the elephant in the room that Steve was mentioning. The two things that he said were, one, it's a developmental year, which is now exactly what you should expect. Like, he's not expecting them as of right now to be the quarterbacks that are like, hey, we're winning games, we're going to the ACC championship, we're going to the CFP. He's expecting these quarterbacks to develop and grow and not necessarily win. Now, of course, winning would be nice, but like he's expecting them to get better. The other thing is, and I think this really brings into context as well to other football fans, more casual football fans, neither quarterback, DeFran said, neither quarterback really has the best knowledge and grasp of the offense right now in terms of Ricky Collins and Luke Carney. There are a certain set of plays which they are comfortable with, but they don't have the full breadth of the playbook in the offense comfortable under their belts, which is to be expected. And I'm not sure most fans understand that.
They don't. And having been in that building last night, as you were, Christian, I guess it was a little different from the box than it would be from where I was. With the general populace around us, there were, let's put it this way, it's very strange to have to try and figure out what it's like to be completely miserable all the time. Because there were people in front of me and around me that were literally yelling when successful plays were happening and bitching and moaning about, like, there was that stretch where Collins had probably 2 or 3 good drives in the third quarter where he was just dropping dimes left and right and like threading needles to people. And he was still finding a way to bitch about things. And I'm just sitting there like, what? We're actually seeing an offense that's playing offense and not just completely screwing things up. And you're yelling at them. Like, what is going on? And I feel like half the Syracuse fan base at this point is just yelling for yelling's sake instead of watching what's happening on the field.
Well, remember, Andy lives in the 5 boroughs, so he's around miserable people 24/7. That's probably over half the populace of the people in the 5 boroughs.
Fair enough.
Dude, if you are a New York, New Jersey listener to this podcast, the political ads have driven you nuts if you turn on linear television or try to watch any video on an ad-supported service. That being said, I do think, Christian and Steve, you're hitting on something that I think is in my efforts to try to be a more empathetic and better human, the point that I think I will give to the people who are frustrated. This isn't a situation like the tail end of the Schaefer years or the Dino years where we are literally putting someone under center who cannot play the position of quarterback. I know we made some Dan Villari jokes aside, but like that last season with Dan Villari playing quarterback was old Army football from the 1910s. The problem with Ricky Collins is that you see those moments when he looks the part of a 4-star quarterback who was committed to LSU. He looks the part of a guy that you would trust to win the quarterback position and develop in a somewhat linear way. I personally think he has better arm strength than Angeli. I think he's more mobile than Angeli. I think he's a more he has more arm slots that he can throw from than Angeli. Like, he checks every box. The problem, and we saw why they brought Angeli in, the consistency is just not there, and the reads and the mental consistency are just not there either. And that is really frustrating. I personally feel that is more frustrating to watch, because you now, kind of using like a soccer thing, the famous meme of sometimes they be good, sometimes they be shit. It feels like that's what you're getting with Ricky, because he has the ability to lead drives down the field. The problem is, and I think this is like the problem with the offense right now, the numbers are obviously not pretty, but there's enough there with the offense that it looks effective. It has explosive potential. You just know that unless they score on like the first 4 plays of a drive, if it's a 7, 8, 9 play drive, the drive will end in a turnover. Like, it's just impossible for this offense to not make mistakes for more than 5, 6 plays in a row.
Well, and I guess that was something we saw yesterday, though. Well, you know what? You know what's unfair to Ricky? That first half, yes, the opening of the game was a complete clusterfuck. But after that, like, he finished the first half 10 of 16 for I don't know what the yardage was. It wasn't good yardage, but 10 of 16 with 2 picks, right? And a touchdown. The 2 of those other dropped passes hit their receivers in the hands, one being a beautiful over-the-top ball that Davian Kerr did not grab, Daryl Gill did not grab, and it just fell through his hands, which was a distinct thing yesterday. There were at least 4 plays that Gill dropped on him, including one of the picks that bounced off his shoulder pads and went to the other team. So if Gill catches that pass and we finish the half at like 140 passing yards, and he's 11 or 12 of 16 to finish that half, yes, he screwed up that pick, his first pick. And then he underthrew the second pick was a distinct underthrow on the right read. That's the thing. We're used to seeing quarterbacks make the complete wrong read. He made the right read and just underthrew the ball. Like, his receiver had the guy beat by 5 yards, 10 yards. Like, he put some air under that ball, that's 6. You give him 2 more weeks, he's putting that air under the ball, and that's 6. But we've got a lot of, I don't know. I don't know if the fan base is going to give him the leeway to get to that point, even though I think all of us see that there is promise there and see why Fran goes into a press conference and says, no, I'm riding Ricky until, like, he's my guy, effectively, and don't worry about what people are saying about you. It's eminently frustrating to see stuff like that. But I don't know. Christian, your take?
I'm going to give you 3 numbers: 25, 221, and 14. 25 and 221 go together because that is the amount of combined penalties and penalty yardage from both teams in that game. Andy, I know you saw the condensed highlights, so you didn't see all of that.
You didn't see the drive of holding? Like, D&D has a bag of holding. Syracuse had a drive of holding.
So,
well, dear God.
So that happened, which didn't help matters also. What also didn't help matters was the 14, which prior to the fourth quarter, that's how many rushing yards Syracuse had.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? it meant until about halfway through the second quarter, Syracuse didn't run a play on third down when they had less than 8 yards to go. So you're not even putting him in the right place to succeed in those situations either. And yes, it's some of that his fault, partially because there were some, short yardage passes that he just flat out missed or overthrew. The first interception, that should be a completion to Cook 10 times out of 10, but he overthrows it and it's going the other way. So there are situations where, yes, that can be put on Ricky, but for most of those situations, he didn't get any help in terms of just being put behind the sticks, not even getting close to a third and manageable situation. So it makes it hard for any type of quarterback to be successful when you get called for holding, when you get false starts, when your running backs are only getting 1 or 2 yards per carry,
Right.
especially through the first 3 quarters. It wasn't until Yacine started to break some runs in the fourth quarter where we saw Syracuse get a bit of momentum.
Yeah.
And then holding calls happened. But yeah, so like,
Right. We get a free
You're-
play, they jump offside, we immediately have a false start that puts us back at 2nd and 10 again. Like,
exactly.
what are we doing? But I guess in that vein, Christian, anyone who's listening and thinks this is a Ricky Collins apologist podcast, I think we are being much more realistic on what's going on with Ricky and looking at the holistic nature of the team rather than just putting everything on a 19-year-old's shoulders. Like this, the team in general is in the situation it is because, for one, you're also down, as of this game, your starting center, which I think we've gone over ad nauseum. Of anybody on the offensive line you want to lose, they may be the last one that you want to lose, especially when it's a veteran from Louisville who came in as an immediate starter
And has played the
intent.
most snaps this season for Syracuse.
And we saw
And also the one position that we didn't have depth on the offensive line. Like I think you can make the argument that every other position we are 2 or possibly 3 deep, but center was the one where it was like, if it ain't him, it's going to be a problem.
I'm not sure you probably didn't catch this in the extended highlights, but there was a play where Josh Miller, who was the backup center, had to leave for an injury. That was called. He was fine but walked off, and the official said he had to leave for an
I think
injury.
he was bleeding. Yeah.
Okay, but he only missed 1 play, so we got to find out who the third string center was, and it was Travis.
Who is the third string center?
Travis Brown Miller. Steve, go take it away.
In that one play, you can see why he's the third string center. This is no shame on him either. Like, you're put into a completely no-win situation. You're probably sitting there not even expecting to think of going into the game, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh God, what am I doing?" Up against guys who have already had a half of a quarter to get up to game speed and know where they're playing, and you're just right in the mess. And he was right in the mess. But in general, the line failed the team. Like, the defensive line, weirdly, looked great compared to what we've seen. The offensive line looked like a sieve.
Shall we get to PFF grades?
Well, let my brain work here a little. Run blocking, I'm assuming there may be a guard above the Mendoza line, and that might be it, because we didn't have an edge all day, and the right side of the line did not look great.
It would be no people on the offensive line above the Mendoza line.
Okay.
For
run
run
blocking.
blocking. The team grade in total for run blocking is significantly worse. It is a 32.7 as a team blocking grade on PFF.
Mother.
The words not ideal.
I mean,
mind.
This is why we can't have nice
Steve,
things.
I have 0 years. I have 0 years of eligibility left, so I legally cannot help out without NCAA violations. But if you've got any years left, man, I'm just saying there's a 50-year-old playing in the Sun Belt. I think that we could use you for a few snaps here. I mean, by that standard, you're a young spring chicken, man.
My body has nothing left, and I have no eligibility left. Because fun fact, you have to exhaust
Oh.
eligibility within 5 years of playing your first snap. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm going to be of no help, and I wouldn't have been of any help anyways. But yeah, that's
I don't know, man. 36 is pretty low.
Suboptimal at best.
To continue the train of misery, unfortunately for Josh Miller, probably didn't expect that he'd be playing a significant amount of time at center, and so the 23.9 pass blocking grade shows that.
Oh, the only thing better than that is our continuing trend of having running backs that don't know what the hell they're doing in pass blocking.
Well, to be fair, this is Will Nixon, and he was basically injured for the entire second half.
True, but an 18.6 is really that's like Sean Tucker levels.
It was only 4 pass blocking attempts also, so
Right.
to be fair, it's not the biggest sample size.
No, I mean, there's our backup tight end was our best pass blocker. That's nice.
Yeah.
So
take what you can get.
Right.
So
and I guess that's the other thing too.
So I guess
the penalties were all over the place. It wasn't like it was just something focused. It was like Bertrand had a false start, like the weirdest, like little hop step false start. Weatherspoon had a holding and a false start. Like I think Mac had one at some point.
Ferguson definitely had one.
Ferguson had something like it was everywhere. It wasn't just veterans or young guys or whatever. It was everybody.
PFF says that Bertrand had 3.
Well, that's also suboptimal. Yeah. Also, what's going on at left tackle? Did Mac go out hurt? I know he was on the questionable list on the depth chart, but I noticed at one point Bertrand was in, and I'm like, I didn't see Mac go down. So, I don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Either way.
I got nothing.
Yeah. So, well, Austin Collins was at the Mendoza line for his one snap.
Yeah, where he got destroyed.
Yeah. So.
So.
I mean, this is. I guess the question that I have is just. We knew that this team is not healthy. Like every week, I see the injury report come out, and Syracuse has more names on the injury report than I've seen across generally most of the ACC. And I think part of that is honestly, Fran is probably the only person who's actually using the injury report the way it's supposed to be used. But the second part of this is that you're coming out of a bye week. You are hoping that at a minimum, the physicality, the tackling, the basic stuff, you're at a little bit of a higher level than a team that just played in Tallahassee and had to play for 60 minutes. And to be fair, like they were more physical than Florida State, and that's why they won that game. It's not exactly like we're playing UNC or anything, but the question that I guess I have right now is we talked about Ricky Collins at the top. We're talking about these offensive line issues. Like, is this just a situation where the Syracuse offense cannot be expected to score more than 20 points per game right now? And if that's like, I think I see some like possible glimmers of hope here on the schedule with just how bad some of these defenses are that we're going to play. Like BC just lost to UConn, for God's sake, at home. So if this is not a situation where it's going to be, we can only score 6 points on the way out here. But like, man, we're cycling through as many combinations of the offensive line as we are, and we're still not really finding anything that sticks, and people are getting hurt and our pets' heads are falling off. Like, it just seems like there's not really a light here at the end of the tunnel.
Well, here's what I'll say. And we saw this at the end of the fourth quarter when they started, putting together good offensive drives. And if they weren't hampered by holding penalties, something might have happened after the onside kick.
So good.
Which was great. Ricky finally started using his legs. And yes, people who have listened to this podcast a lot know I am not the biggest fan of dual threat quarterbacks and guys who are more inclined to run. But Ricky is self-admittedly a a pocket passer, but he does have the ability to use his legs. So you might as well incorporate more of what you're good at. And yes, there weren't a ton of designed runs, but there was better pocket escape ability and just escaping down the field. Ricky's not going to be the guy like Angeli, who, when he escapes the pocket, is going to look downfield for a throw. Same with McCord. Collins is not going to be that guy. He should be the guy when the pocket escapes, he runs because he's got the athleticism to run by a spy. And he did that multiple times.
He did.
To move the chains. So why not use that more?
I don't know.
You know what? I think part of what that was comfort too. Like, as weird as it sounds, even being pressured, like the more Collins gets comfortable back there, the more he has that feel for when he needs to bolt. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but the more plays he gets with this team and behind that line, he'll know more how to feel that pressure and know where it's likely coming from and stuff like that. It's maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's he got the green light from Nixon and Fran to just like go make something happen. Like, go sling it, go play ball. Like, you don't have to sit and stick by our rigid game plan. Like, go and just make something happen. I don't know.
I think no. I think you're kind of onto something there, in the sense that we spent so much of the offseason listening to Fran and Jeff Nixon talk about this quarterback battle, going all the way back to the reporting that Christian was doing when we were previewing the season. They really wanted to emphasize that Ricky Collins was a pocket passer, and they really wanted to emphasize that this quarterback battle was not between a mobile quarterback or a dual threat quarterback and a pocket passer. It was between two quarterbacks that want to run the system. I can only imagine, like, again, and this is something that I know, again, not to keep harping on how bad UNC is, but it's really funny that the two worst teams in the ACC right now are BC and UNC, headed up by the former Patriots brain trust. Just so funny. But one of the things that they talk about all the time is that the difference between the NFL and college is that you have a limited number of hours to communicate very consistent messaging and principles. Like, I don't know if anybody saw it this week, but there was a viral clip going around of Nick Saban running a meeting at Alabama, yelling at the coaching staff because the guys didn't know how to run a drill that they were going to run in practice. And Saban saying, that's something that needs to be handled in position meetings. That's something that needs to be handed out to kids before they even step onto the field. We only get so much time with them. We need that time to count. And so I'm wondering if, like, part of the reason why it's taking so long now, like after kind of hearing you talk about it, Steve, is this situation where they spent so much trying to nail into Ricky, don't use your legs, use your arm, do the reads, do the progression, get comfortable in the pocket, get comfortable stepping up in the pocket. And now to like unwire all of that work that's been going on since he stepped on campus in January, it's probably not an easy task to do in an off season, let alone to do in the 3 or 4 weeks that he has been quarterback and they've had time to evaluate his ability as a true pocket passer. And you really do see the difference between the collegiate game and the NFL, because they have that time restraint and they have a very limited number of hours to pick and choose what they can work with him on in terms of actual physical practice.
Yeah. No, and that's it's they get what, 4 hours a day total, something like that, and mandatory 1 day off.
Yeah. Well, yes.
So like, yeah, compared to the off season, where even when you're quote unquote doing things unofficially and like, sitting in the coach's office watching game film, on your time off, not on mandatory practice time or whatever, you're looking at things differently. You're addressing things completely differently in those situations than you are when you're in a live in-season situation. So, maybe something like that is part of it. And I don't know. again, at this point, we're all just kind of fishing for what could be the issue, and nobody knows what is the issue except for Fran and Ricky. It's a weird situation.
I feel for everybody involved here, mostly just because we as fans are kind of sitting here and like we want the team to be better, but kind of to bring this whole thing back home, as Christian kind of started this whole thing off with, like Fran's officially thrown in the like it's a development year flag, and I think that's fine. I still think that this team can get to 5-7, which is where I thought that they would be at the beginning of the season. It's where both of us, all three of us, thought that we would be at the end of the season. We thought 5-7 was the realistic ceiling here, and I think that they could still probably ugly out a win against UNC and BC at home to win these games. Don't think it's necessarily going to be fun to watch this team go to Atlanta and go to South Bend and go to Miami, but those are the games that you have. And then again, this whole season looks a lot different if Angeli doesn't pop his Achilles against Clemson. And so I guess like the one thing that is, I guess, a little bit optimistic is the defensive side of the ball that in this Pitt game clearly made strides and just ran out of gas, and obviously was put into a situation multiple times where they were pretty much giving up points before they even stepped on the field due to just field position and turnovers and whatnot.
Both of Pitt's offensive touchdowns were scored when the drive started in plus territory.
Yeah.
So,
and one of them was the complete gift on the, like, wherever the hell it was, almost as much as our gift.
Yeah. So, like, they only scored on their first and last drives. The first one, which was the first Ricky pick, and one of the only bad plays, which was Henschel finding a gap and bursting up for 36 yards.
Which I think I texted the group on that. I was like, "Hey, the pass play or the pass rush actually worked," and then there was nobody at the second level or third level or the rest of the field.
I mean, it was also partially because Syracuse is playing more man, which is great.
And that play design was beautiful. Like it was all outs. It cleared the entire center of the field. The pass rush worked, and then it's just like, oh.
And I'm pretty sure it was a safety blitz as well, because I think it was Barry Buxton who ran past Henschel.
Yeah.
And he went off, which was unfortunate. And then on the last play, on the last drive, they started in plus field territory because Syracuse couldn't move the chains after the onside kick.
Right.
And
there wasn't 500 yards of total offense in this entire game combined. Pitt had 260 total.
Yeah.
We thought we were with 212. They barely matched us.
Yeah, there was nearly
I don't believe this.
there again. Remember, let me remind you, Andy. Because I haven't pulled up the box score since I last checked it. But if it's still the same as when I looked at it at the end of the game, 221 total yards of penalty yardage combined from both teams.
Yep.
And like.
There were more yards of penalty. Wow. There was more penalty yardage in the game than Syracuse offensive yardage.
Yes. And Pitt barely eclipsed that. They had 255.
Oh, wow.
Anyone who's listening to this and not seeing it, go find the 28-minute, 50-second mark and look at Andy's face.
It
was just pure pain.
I did. No, because I honestly, like, you look at the condensed game, you get a kind of feel for it. And I'm like, I was, perfectly honest, I was at the Sounders NYCFC game watching Pedro de la Vega's knee completely implode. That was fun. But I'm looking at the box score for the first time now, and I am legitimately stunned. Pitt only, Syracuse averaging 4 yards per pass. Oh, Pitt only averaging 6 yards per pass. Right. Yards per rush, 2.7 on Pitt on 43 rushing attempts.
We sacked Pitt 7 times. We had 7 sacks.
What's the big thing, Andy? I'm not sure if you recognize that. There were 7 sacks from Syracuse.
We only gave up 2 somehow.
There were 8 total before this game by the entire team.
I need to look up. I didn't look for it. I just assumed that the stats were bad. Syracuse was big. I haven't looked at Bill C's post-game win expectancy yet that just looks at the stats and doesn't actually look at
Oh, no.
how the game is played. I want to. I'm assuming that the turnovers probably like kill Syracuse here, as they should. But I am genuinely curious to know what it is.
So the updated penalty yardage
Syracuse,
was
Pittsburgh.
Combined 216 penalty yards.
Still
And
more
it is
than
still more than Syracuse's 212 total yards of offense.
But that's the other thing too, is like even passing yards. Like Collins went for 136 and Henschel only went for 143. Like
correction, Collins went for 126. Carney went for 10.
Carney got for 10. Okay. But either way, like in all of our Syracuse brains, we're seeing this horrible game that Collins played when on the flip side,
Henschel
there
got
wasn't
sacked
anything
7
better
times.
Yeah.
Seven
there wasn't
times!
anything better from Pitt. And it's like, what in the hell is happening here?
Now, to be fair, this was with a hobbled Desmond Reed. Who, if Desmond Reed is healthy, who knows how this game goes?
Bull. He was looking good enough when he was not.
Exactly. I mean, Reed only ran the ball 6 times, but ran it for 42 yards.
Jeez.
The one drive he was in, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, Andy.
I'm genuinely stunned by this entire thing. Sorry, I looked up the post-game win expectancy. It wasn't good. The stats say that Syracuse should have lost this game by 9 instead of 17. So I think that sounds probably a little bit nicer than I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
No, like this
man,
I think a couple times
this is
had late scores that have made the final score look way worse than the game was.
Definitely. This is one of those games where the final score looks a lot worse.
Right. My father-in-law doesn't watch any games, but still follows the box score like it's religion. And I'm like, for one, he's like, wow, they really got beat up. I'm like, well, no, both teams didn't want to win that game. And we probably should have lost by a touchdown. Like, we should have lost the game, but it shouldn't have looked like it did. So it's a weird situation.
I appreciate the there's the @Spilly, formerly of Twitter, now on Blue Sky, Pitt Sicko, who is a chronic online poster, posted after the game, quote, "Every Pitt Syracuse game ends up being a different flavor of atrocity." And
it's so true.
I for some reason caught this in the press box looking at like what they were coming back from break with, and it was that shootout game, like the box score in the pictures. So tracks, as they say.
You had them, wow, the Mahoney game was its own animal.
That
was its own version of stupid. What was the final?
I had 10. Sorry, I had to think about this because I had 14 tickets to that game because it was the day after it was like the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and it was like the year or two after I graduated or something, and something happened with my travel plans, and I couldn't actually use any of them. But I had bought 14 tickets because I had gotten them for $7 a piece. So I gave them away to anybody that I could find who lived in Pittsburgh and was like, I have a bunch of tickets for the Syracuse Pitt game. The only person who went was I am friends with multiple of these, my former D2 offensive lineman friend from high school, who is just a football sicko, and watched the entire thing and said, well, that's one I get to check off my career football box.
So you enjoy just hanging out with former offensive linemen? Like that's how you choose your friends?
Andy has
it's actually been exactly.
Oh, you played O-line in college. Okay, I'll hang out with you.
I'm surprised Mel didn't suit up for Syracuse.
I wish I was kidding about this, but I really wish I was kidding about this. But one of the regulars at the bar is a former offensive lineman from Georgia State. So you know what? I just keep finding them.
We're everywhere.
So Steve, because you were there, I guess like one of the biggest questions to ask, like because you were in the stands, obviously fans are unhappy, but like, are we going to be at the point where at the UNC game on Halloween night, it's just going to be like lower bowl student section only, or do you think there's still enough?
Well, Andy left, but
That's a perfect time for
to
Andy's
answer-
technical problems to happen.
to answer his question, we were almost there this game.
Yeah.
Like the upper bowl kind of filled in about half
Yeah.
by the end.
And I feel
Or,
like the
like,
student
first
section
half?
actually, filled in pretty well as
Yeah.
well. Halloween will definitely hamper those numbers, unfortunately,
Yeah.
especially because it's a Friday night Halloween. It's one of the rare Friday night weekend Halloweens that
Oh,
you
yeah.
get for a college kid.
Well, you get that, and then you have all of the people like me that have season tickets or have tickets, and our parents that I might try and drive up after he's done trick or treating, but I'm not missing my kid trick or treating to go up to the dome and watch the shit show that is Bill Belichick's whatever he's got going. I don't know, like that scheduling is not kind in any way, shape, or form.
Not well. Remember, that's a short week. Also, it's on a Friday.
Yep. So at least Cusco's Friday to Friday. No shit, we were on Saturday. All
Okay.
right. Yeah. Well, we almost had Andy back.
It's the
But,
usual with our tech things right now.
Yeah.
Like, we need to start a GoFundMe for Andy to get into a computer.
Yeah, start a Patreon just to give him money for a new computer.
Exactly. One of the things that's good to know is that, again, with on the defense, only two people who played more than only two people who played more than 20 snaps go rated below the Mendoza line.
Right.
Every regular player on that defense graded above the Mendoza line, and so that just shows you the improvement that's going to happen. Will it be enough to convince people to stick around to watch Bill on a Friday night when it's Halloween? Probably not. To answer Andy's question as he's back in, like, I don't think that upper bowl from the student section is going to look good. And it's going to be tough. It's with the circumstances, it should, like, if it wasn't Halloween, this would be a prime candidate to have like a really, really good crowd.
Yeah.
But because it is, like, unfortunately, it's not looking great. So
You going to drive up, Pregs?
I mean, look, if my wife wasn't running the New York City Marathon, I would probably drive up for it just for the pure chaos of the situation. But alas, I will be in New York, cheering her on, hosting the in-laws, doing the whole familial thing. It does mean though that at my friend's Halloween party, I will force him to throw on an iPad or on a computer laptop somewhere this game, and I will stand there like a good 65-year-old uncle, just with my arms crossed in front of it, watching with disdain as I am.
I'll be
Sure.
waiting. I'll be sitting there in front of my TV watching and hating myself while waiting for the last stragglers of trick-or-treaters to come to the house, because like I told Christian, I'm not missing my kids' Halloween trick-or-treating to go up to the dome and watch Bill Belichick's whatever.
But the thing is, Andy's going to be that guy in 30 years who still stands and claps waiting for Syracuse's first bucket.
Oh, 100%. I mean, to be fair, I'm still that guy, so. Some things never die. Some things never
So it
die.
was funny before the show. Yeah, obviously. So it's funny before the show, Steve, Christian, the game was obviously not super fun, but obviously we found plenty to talk about here, because that's what we do here. I think I don't think there's a whole lot to do with the Georgia Tech preview, but like, can we stop a running quarterback? Because that's what this is going to come down to.
The few times that Pitt found success in the running game, what was the old issue? Outside contain.
Yeah.
So if Haynes Kings decides he wants to venture outside the tackles, yay.
He's been venturing for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, not great.
Well, he's got a little bit of Garrett Schrader in him, where I think he prefers to go straight up the A gap instead of going around, which is, a choice.
So he hasn't
Good.
helicoptered yet. Oh, that's good. A shout out to Iowa quarterback Mark Gronkowski and former Syracuse offensive coordinator, now Iowa offensive coordinator Tim Lester. because in their game against Penn State, they had I think it was either a third down or something. They needed to get a first down to kill off the clock because they were leading Penn State by 1. And they referenced the Syracuse Schrader fakes against Purdue because they ran that play to secure the first down to win the game. It wasn't
They're
the
all
it wasn't the
connected.
same,
The
like,
being a Syracuse offensive
Yeah.
coordinator.
it wasn't the same like smooth bootleg that Schrader had. It was very more immediate, but they still referenced that was the inspiration for that play call. And the funny part was that Iowa's quarterback said that he and Lester were the only guys who knew that it was going to be a fake. Every single other person on the offense thought that was a handoff to the running back. So Syracuse still gets mentioned.
Obviously, we're everywhere. Craig, you got something, or is your internet just dying?
Andy's internet's probably dying as his mic problems may be a little bit too much to overcome right now. But we will do a shortened episode of the Disloyal Idiots podcast this week because again, we don't have that much to talk about for Georgia Tech. If you are watching on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, again, live for us right now, we do these live on Sundays most of the time at 8-ish most of the time. Make sure you're following along on your podcast platform of choice as well. Make sure to leave a like, rating, review, a comments, so we can trick the algorithm into expanding the Ottoman Empire. Hopefully this goes well for the next couple of weeks before Bill rocks up to the Dome.
I mean, in all honesty, this week I'll take mediocre. Give me mediocre and I'm happy.
It's a long way to go to that. But
I'd agree.
if we get mediocre, we'll say, as always, go Orange.
Go Orange.